But it sounds like a switch was flipped and you're like, okay, that's it. I do want to be a mom. And that
Yeah.
became a very like you were determined.
Can I tell you the truth though?
Yeah.
I don't know if it was that I said I'm ready to be a mom. I think it was that I want to be successful at pregnancy. Yeah, if I'm telling you the whole truth. I think I wanted to be successful. The idea of being a good mom or being a mom to this living person didn't happen until she was actually here. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? That
Yeah.
like man,
Yeah.
that's really the truth. It's like I said, as I felt like such a failure in pregnancy, I just want to have a successful one. I want to
Yeah.
feel like I did it,
Yeah.
And even in my second pregnancy, when some of the same things started happening, they were happening. Actually, let me say this: where it's like, look, my preeclampsia in my first pregnancy, the symptoms started at about 24 weeks.
Mm.
So even though it's early, it was still in a quote unquote reasonable time where you would expect preeclampsia to start. In my second pregnancy, my symptoms started at 8 weeks. And so it was very, very early. But
Yeah.
I felt more successful about it, again, even though it's irrational, because it had nothing to do with what I could do or not do.
Totally.
But I felt more successful at it because I was prepared,
Hmm.
because I had a doctor who was a specialist, because I had my band at home and I could take my blood pressure on my cuff. I could take my blood pressure at home. I had my Lovenox that I was shooting myself up with every day to thin my blood. I was taking my medications and my vitamins. Like, I was like, oh, yeah, no, look, I've got the
Yeah.
math on this one.
Yeah. You're a pro.
I'm going to do it, even though the preeclampsia has come back with a vengeance. And when I went into the hospital for the last time with my daughter, Lael, um, even though it was only a few weeks after I had gone into the hospital with Eve in my first
Mhm.
pregnancy, I felt more successful because I was like, well, at least I gave myself a few more weeks. That was the feeling I had.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when he was born was when I was like, now there's this human here that I'm supposed to be a parent to. Okay, well, that was not part of the deal, y'all. You know what I mean? I don't know what this was. This is it. Now, I was just trying to get through the pregnancy. That's all. That's all. So that was
Yeah.
my thing, you know.
Yes. Totally.
And so it wasn't until then. And
Yeah.
I don't know if other people feel that way ever, but I really didn't understand what it was going to mean, to be a mother until she was born. And if I can tell you some more truth, I think every day makes me feel more confident about my motherhood. I feel better as a mother today, even though the challenges are different and we're dealing with a whole different set of new things. So I'm just like, I don't remember reading this in the handbook. Like every day something is different, but I feel more confident. I feel happier in my
Yeah.
motherhood today than I did back then. And I wish if I could go back and tell myself, I wish I could tell myself that my own motherhood journey, not necessarily for anybody else, but my own motherhood journey would get significantly better as time went on. As she grew, as our relationship grew, as I got to know her as her own person, not as a ward, you know, but as her own human who is interesting and funny and just like she's
Yeah.
just such a special person. Like I like her. I don't just love her. I like her. And
Yes.
it's so much better now.
Mm. The the devastating loss of your first pregnancy, it sounds like it like opened up a space in your marriage that you didn't mean to be there and was kind of it's like a shocking deterioration.
Well, it was so shocking to me because we had been on the same team during my pregnancies, right? That when we found out that I was sick with Eve in my first pregnancy, it was like the two of us together trying to figure out how to make it work, you know? And then she died, and it was the two of us in our grief. You know, it's like nobody else could understand what we were going through but us. And so it was the two of us together. And then I got pregnant. And even though our reactions were different, because here I was celebrating my successful, you know, successfully impregnated. Thank you. You know, check step one, you know? And he was feeling fearful and unsure. We were still a team because like, okay, now that this has happened, we're going to get through this together, right? And then Lael was born, and all of a sudden we were not a team. And I promise you, it happened overnight. I promise you. Like all of a sudden it was like, who could protect her better? Who could just do better by her? Who was not going to fuck her up?
Yeah.
And so even when she was like in the NICU and Peter would go to work, and of course now I have much better perspective, right, on the situation, like thinking like an empathy for him in having to leave the NICU or not even go to see her in the morning and go straight to work and then have the hours at work, finally get off, be able to come to the hospital, see her for maybe an hour, and then we're kicked out of there. Meanwhile, I'm there all day. You know, when he woke up to go to work, I woke up to go to the hospital. And he would come, and that hour that he had, he was trying to learn the things I'd been learning for 9 hours. You know, how to change her diaper or how to fix the feeding tube or, you know, swaddle her or any number of things, you know? And when she came home, it was worse because it was like, you know, I felt that he was doing everything wrong and he felt like he couldn't learn because I was in his way and he wanted his own kangaroo time. And even then I was just like, but your chest is too hairy for that. You realize that? Like she don't want to be on that. And he's like, how do you know? Like she can't tell you that. I'm like, I can feel it. I know I'm her mother. You know, it's like, and so we went from being partners, true partners, to then our home was a battlefield on who could take care of her better.
Yeah.
And that was something that became an irreparable, you know what I'm trying to say?
Irreparable.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Irreparable break that we couldn't fix because there was no winning that argument.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.